You want me to put that on my Tudor?
Harry's wife, the grand delusion. Following hard on the heels of the reporting of Harry's wife's attempt to get on board Air Force One, there comes further commentary, this time from Meghan via the Daily Mail. Despite Joe Biden's decades-long habit of scattering classified documents up and down the East Coast, his administration managed to keep one of the world's juiciest tidbits secret for nearly one whole year. Pausing there, I doubt that it's the administration that kept it secret, but rather the Daily Mail didn't leak this information earlier for reasons I explained in the video yesterday. On Wednesday, DailyMail.com exclusively reported that the Duke and Duchess of Sussex made a very unusual request to the White House after attending Queen Elizabeth II's funeral in September. The Bidens were in London to express the deep condolences of the nation. What a better time to network. So the couple reportedly asked Joe and the First Lady if they could hitch a ride on Air Force One to fly them all back home to the good old US of A. Yes, Harry and Harry's wife had been excluded from a reception at Buckingham Palace. There were some reports that crowds were booing them. Inspector Gadget gets booed. And the Sussexes were still public enemy number one in their home county after, I think it means country, after their infamous tell-all Oprah interview, during which they accused the royal family of all manner of horrible behaviour, from racist microaggressions to neglecting a near-suicidal, pregnant Harry's wife. But onward and upward. Who were they kidding? Even the incompetent Biden White House was smart enough to dodge this terrible, awful, very bad idea. Sources told the DailyMail.com that the wayward royals received an immediate no. It was a non-starter. If the president's staff had put the commander-in-chief in that position, then they would have deserved to be fired on the spot. The president has bigger things to worry about, like America's relationship with its closest ally. It would have caused such a commotion, a source told DailyMail.com. It would have strained relations with the palace and the new king. Just 3 months later, Shitflix streamed their boring propaganda piece, disguised as a documentary, Harry and Harry's Wife. The 6-part series portrayed the royal family as collaborators in a racist and archaic system. A month later, Harry went after nearly every member of his family again when his memoir, Spare, hit the bookshelves. No wonder the White House steered clear. And the fact that the Sussexes, for all their high-paid, politically connected advisors, one worked for Hillary Clinton and the other for Michelle Obama, didn't grasp this reality, tells you all you need to know about them. They are completely, utterly, hopelessly delusional. Air Force One is not the Bidens' private plane. It is the property of the American people, and it's kind of a big deal. Some of the most significant moments in history of the country have happened in the fuselages of the aircrafts that carry the President of the United States. On September 11th, President George W. Bush was rushed into the skies on Air Force One to begin coordinating the country's response. After President John F. Kennedy was assassinated, his successor, Lyndon Johnson, was sworn in as president, with Jackie Kennedy at his side on Air Force One. In short, one does not ask to jump on the president's plane. They get invited. Being a passenger is a privilege granted to very few, and it is usually reserved for elected officials, diplomats, and the First Family. In a show of national pride and respect, my father's casket was transported from Arizona to Washington, D.C. by a U.S. government plane to lay in state in the United States Capitol. And even then, President Trump sent Air Force Two. But by all means, Harry and Harry's wife, here's your presidential peanuts. Enjoy your flight. Did they really think the White House would be so stupid? As the Oprah interview made clear, these two had no qualms about dishing the dirt on private conversations when it accrued to their benefit. And Harry's wife's nascent political aspirations are no big secret. Wouldn't an intimate 8-hour flight with the most powerful man in the world be a convenient launching pad for her next career move? Wouldn't it have been great to plaster a picture on the Sussexes and the Bidens waving from the plain staircase on a campaign poster? This was nakedly self-serving. And what did they have to offer the Bidens? Absolutely nothing. Doesn't this explain everything? Harry and Harry's wife seem to have been convinced that the world owed them, that if only people could see how brilliant, talented and mistreated they were, adoring crowds would lift them onto their shoulders and parade them through the streets. And you know what? It worked. For a while. Spotify and Netflix shined them up for $20 million and $100 million contracts, respectively. Then, everyone has caught on. The fucking grifters. That's the podcast we should have launched with them, said Bill Simmons, a top Spotify executive last month. Now, instead of being cheered and embraced for stabbing their family members in the back for a paycheck, most have abandoned them. They are criticised in the once adoring mainstream media, and polls show that the public's opinion of them on both sides of the Atlantic has soured. Finally, there was one more incredibly revealing piece of information in this new reporting. The day after spilling the beans on Oprah, Harry's wife apparently thought she'd won an ally in Jill Biden. The First Lady had wore an Oscar de la Renta dress with a lemon pattern to a State Department event. The outfit was similar to an Oscar de la Renta dress Harry's wife had worn a month before. It must have been a subtle nod of support for the embattled Duchess, so said Twitter. Harry's wife may have thought so too. Believe me, she will have thought so, such is the level of her magical thinking. She reportedly sent the First Lady a basket of lemons to express her thanks. See parts passim. So low-key, because it's their little secret. Of all the scandals, headlines, and missteps that Harry's wife and Harry have been involved in over the past few years, this one is my favourite because it perfectly encapsulates the phenomenon. Their plan to trash the royal family and jet off to America to be rich and famous never made sense because it was irrational. And rationality, apparently, was not their strong suit. Reality isn't an obstacle if you don't acknowledge it. The words of Meghan McCain there, and she's summing up the grand delusion of Harry's wife, whereby she fails to understand and recognise that her behaviour is entirely inappropriate. The fact is, she behaves this way because she believes that she's important. She believes that people want to be with her. And her behaviour has resulted in another piece being generated which slams the behaviour. Of course, this is a collateral consequence of her sense of entitlement. And you can contrast the defence that was placed in the video Air Force One, the defence, with the points that Meghan McCain makes. It's clearly the case that Harry's wife did think that she could catch a lift with the Bidens. It supports her sense of entitlement, her lack of accountability, her lack of boundary recognition, the way that she would have believed that it would have been an excellent opportunity for her to improve her political relations, that it would enable her to perhaps create the platform to achieve those political aspirations. But once again, she becomes the figure of ridicule. This once again provides her with challenge fuel and shows that she is a talentless nobody who is going to shortly return to obscurity. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.